That kind of change for us all. Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another tough
Hello.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
Oh, everyone expecting that breakout. As per the thumbnail, are we going to get the breakout? Is price going to reverse? I see some serious, okay, let me just put the music ever so softly. I see some serious trouble over here, right? I see some serious trouble. Do you believe, let me know in the comments, do you believe that the breakout is still going to take place? Do you think, okay, are you of the opinion that we are still going to get this? Let me know in the comments. We've been shaving here against the trend, not breaking out, and now we have some nice selling pressure kicking in here. And I also saw here on Bybit, looking at the CVD, okay, someone is longing. It could be the Koreans, okay? I saw that in Andy's live stream. Someone highlighted, well, this... wow. I mean, just before claiming the lows, right? Tapping the 0.9 Fibonacci, you have aggressive millions and millions of dollars entering over here. And for now, I must be honest, that does not look like a bullish structure that is forming there more locally. Legends, do you think that we are going to fall to the downside? Do you think that this is the start of the correction for a deeper retracement to the downside? Okay, was this all just hype here at the moment? Okay, we've lost the little bull flaggy over there. Okay, you know, we broke down, right? And I know for the breakout traders, they must probably shorting this thing like a crazy maniac here to the downside. Woo! What is going to happen? There is still that, well, no, not from there, okay? There is still that lower structure that I spoke about yesterday. And legends, yesterday when I ended the live stream, okay, well, I've actually spoken about it quite in length during the live stream, where I said I think the range is going to continue before we potentially see the breakout to the upside. And guess what? The range is still continuing, and it can still continue for 1 or 2 days. I don't want to see it continue past Friday, because then it's going to get overextended. I'll show you guys what I mean there in a second. Right, but something very interesting, and I'll say hi to the stunning community in a moment. I see someone highlighted, who was this? Someone highlighted Talma. I have so many questions today. Go ahead, ask your questions. I will try and get through it as quickly as I can and as accurately as I can. Legends, I like to challenge myself sometimes to say that, well, okay, there is a structure. Okay, let me clean up the chart ever so slightly over here. There is, let me see if I can find it. Is it this one? No, it's not that one. It's definitely not this one, right? Oh, it's still on the cards. This scenario is still on the cards, okay? Not that one, not that one. Where on earth did I save that scenario? did I delete it? I hope I did not delete it. Here we go. Right, there we go. Someone asked the question last week or the week before. I can't remember. Dewald, is there a chance for the low to be in? And there is a corrective structure that supports the low being in. There is a corrective structure. Okay? The problem for me has always been this little pump to the upside. Okay? You want to see a 5-wave impulsive move. You want to see a contracting diagonal. You want to see a bullish structure form here to the upside, not a damn corrective structure. Because when you form a corrective structure to the upside, you increase the probabilities that it is corrective. The impulses are still to the downside, and you're going to claim the low once again. Okay, you scream ice cream, you all scream for ice cream. Right, I do not have a bag of ice cream, okay? I cannot read these comments out loud, you guys. Watching from the Philippines, welcome. Okay, let me say hi to the beautiful community, and I'll carry on what I want to share, but you guys want to stay tuned for today's live stream. You want to smash up that like button, because, you know, it's the like button that shows me whether you guys enjoy the content or not, okay? Or whether I'm smoking my socks. There is, okay? There is a scenario, and I have actually spoken about it about 3 weeks ago. There is a scenario where you can count this entire structure. Okay, let me say hi to the beautiful community. Now we are done. Right, so you believe crypto fought, we're going down. Yes, it does look awfully corrective. I'm not going to argue. This little move to the upside looks awfully corrective. Okay, we can go through the different scenarios in a moment. Is this local last low still hold or not? We can go through that as well. I'm definitely going to analyze the 15-minute time frame, the 5-minute time frame. We can go see what needs to happen for us to continue momentum to the upside. But there's a glimmer of good news. There's a glimmer of good news. Okay, I don't want to spill the beans just as yet, but there's a glimmer of good news that even with a deeper correction, we can still form a higher low and continue to the upside. And I want to discuss that scenario today. Okay, I have discussed the scenario about 3 weeks ago. I didn't give it high probability because of how confusing the structure is, but the more data you have, the clearer the structure becomes. Okay, so I want to discuss that structure. So yes, you have the potential for a corrective structure here in a WXY to the downside, where you have formed an ABC in W, a complex corrective structure in X, and guess what? Another A, B, C in Y. Very strange that it did not tap the 1.236, but I mean, this is the most common zone, okay, for a Y wave. So I want to discuss that scenario at the moment, okay, in a moment. Now we're done. Right, I'm in a short already, took TP1. Well done, Shill. Well done, okay. It's I love it when people tell me they've taken a trade and they've already taken profits. Love it, love it, love it. Also here on Doge, this is a trade that I highlighted, okay? The TP was here, right? On Doge, that I highlighted to our Legends Pro community on Sunday. And price was here when I highlighted the trade. That is where price was. Okay, let me see if I can bring it up over here, okay? Because people don't believe me. Right, let me bring up the community. Let me do this. Let's clean up a screen over here and let me drag this to the side so everyone can see this. Yes, everyone can see this. Okay, cool. Legends, where's my section? Let me see. Sunday. Where can have like to be Sunday? There we go. Right? We were just about to break out. And what did I say over here? As usual, very boring price action from Bitcoin. That was a Saturday. Okay, I do not trade on Saturdays, especially not Saturdays, because it is very boring price action. You usually consolidate. It's usually a great time to take a break from the chart. I cannot stress it enough. People do not take breaks. Okay, they stare at the candles every single day for 12, 18 hours a day, right? They wake up during the night to go to the bathroom. The first thing they do is check their phone. Where's the price of Bitcoin? Right? I know it gets crazy, right? But here is the trade that I highlighted in Doge, and I said, okay, boring price action on Saturday. I did see some alts popping, starting to break trend. I do expect some volatility a bit later today, which is Sunday, because you get some volatility on Sunday just before the markets open. Always happens like clockwork. It does look like Doge wants to pop at any moment. Okay, so that's basically what happened here on Doge. We played the breakout, okay, and I didn't highlight this TP area, but the pro members know. When you tap a high, that is a TP1, right? That is where I took some profits. I took more profits over here, and I left the moon bag open. And I closed my position this morning, before we got the dump. Literally, over there. That's where I closed my position. And now we're getting the dumpy here to the downside. Right, you might be asking, well, why did you close your position over here? And why was this TP2 and why was this TP3? Okay, because it was just a simple Fibonacci pool. Okay, very simple technical analysis. I see the break of the trend. I see the resistance. I take a fib from the high to the low. TP1, TP2, TP3. Out. I'm out. I don't care if it goes higher. I told the Legends community this morning when I did my update to say, I don't care if the price does this. I'm very happy with the trade. It was quite a significant trade, so I'm happy with the profits that I've made over there. Right, sorry, Legends. I just need to close something over here. Okay, there we go. There we go. Don't forget the like. Yes, don't forget the like. Tama, I see you are typing your questions. I'll get through that in a moment. So a successful trade in the bag, right? But I like to pay myself, especially if I'm opening up some leverage trades. Okay, so this was a leverage trade here to the upside. I'm currently now out of the Doge trade, right? I'm happy. I do have a spot bag. So if it continues to the upside, I still benefit from the momentum. Okay, cool. Legends, let's get back here onto the price of Bitcoin. Let me go through some more comments. Talma, we had 3 scenarios for the formation of the fourth wave. Yes, but with this decline, do we invalidate all 3? Talma, very good question. I will go through those scenarios because I did discuss 3 scenarios. Can't even remember if it was 4 scenarios this morning. Okay, and there's still one that has not been invalidated. And it's one that I potentially did not discuss this morning. Okay, because as price develops and you get new price action, more data gives me different scenarios. Okay, the one thing about Elliott wave theory is that as price develops and it gives you more information, the structure starts making more sense. Okay, and it starts invalidating other structures where other structures then starts taking priority. Okay, so the more price action you get, the more data you get, and that then changes scenarios. Oh, because of this price action, now this scenario, I didn't see it before, now I see this scenario. Because of this price action, this scenario is now invalidated, which activates the bearish case scenario. So there's always a bullish and a bearish case scenario, but I'll try and keep it simple here in the local price action. So Tama, very good question, and I will go through those scenarios in a moment. Do we have to wait for the price to show us a new path? Yes. That's a very important question. Tell me, you're asking all the right questions. And so, how do we read the previous price action? Okay, I think when I start analyzing the smaller time frames, it will start making sense to you. So I think I'm going to answer all your questions when I jump into the 15-minute time frame. Right, is there any possibility that the fourth wave is in, as well as the fifth, the top? And in this case, could the fifth wave be smaller than the third? So, yeah, you're talking about a truncated fifth wave. What I can say is, and I will go through that scenario on the smaller time frame, Talma, is that truncated fifth waves are extremely rare in any market. S&P 500, NASDAQ, gold, platinum, silver, crypto, even in some of the altcoins, or most of the altcoins, it is extremely, extremely rare to see a truncated fifth wave, okay? It should only be considered once every single other scenario has been invalidated, and that is the only scenario that you have left, okay? It literally has like a 1% probability. So there's still 99% of other probabilities that takes priority over a truncated fifth wave. Okay. Very, very rare to see a truncated fifth wave. They do exist. I have personally, during my trading career, okay, and I haven't been trading for long. I've been trading, I've bought my first Bitcoin during 2017. Only started really trading seriously during 2021, and during my trading career, I have not seen a truncated fifth wave on Bitcoin. I haven't seen it. That's how rare they are. Okay, right, but we can go through that scenario. Very good question. Don't forget to smash up the like. Yes. Hi, Dewald, tell me, where should I start if I recently joined Pro Legends? Okay, you can post some you can chat here in the Legends chat section. You can go through the trading tools. You can, I see most people chat here inside of the Bitcoin section. This is where all the conversation is happening, inside of the Bitcoin section. People sharing their P&Ls. There's an altcoin section. There's Andy's section. So I would recommend that you watch Andy's updates. You watch my updates. Matt has his own section. We have Dylan, one of our coaches. We have Aditya or Aiden Ryan with his BTC setups, guiding us where to put stop losses, you know, what to expect for next moves to the upside and so forth. So, I mean, just go through all these channels, and the best, the best way to start is to start going to ask some questions here inside of the Legends chat section. Ask some questions. Okay. Right, Legends, let's this man get more hearts than Brad Pitt. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the love, sincerely. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. Now, Legends, let's get on with the technical analysis. Okay, currently getting a pump here to the upside. More bearish CVD forming. Right. Let me first finish what I wanted to say over here. Okay, Legends, there's a chance. Let's discuss the bullish case scenario, because there is a bearish case scenario. Okay, I just want to stress it. I don't want anyone to mix up my words and says Dewald called the low and we are only going up from here. Right, that's not what I'm saying. This is a scenario because I got asked the question, can the low be in? And there is a valid count for the low to be in. The problem has always been this structure for me. That has been the problem. So before I discuss the structure, there's something that I just want to share with everyone. Okay? When you fall from the upside and you tank to the downside, okay, and you make a low, the most important thing that you can do as a technical trader is to see how is price responding from this low. Is it building a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure? That is a bullish structure. 5 wave structures are bullish structures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is an impulsive fifth wave. The 4 is not allowed to go into the territory of 1. It's actually not supposed to even tap the 0.618. Your third wave is usually the longest wave. It's not allowed to be the shortest. Your 1 and your 5 is usually similar in length. There's a couple of rules that you need to follow for an impulse. Okay, so it's basically when you have a low and price has come from the top and you have a low, the first thing that you try and identify is that, is it impulsive? Okay. The next thing you try and look for is it forming a diagonal? Okay. Or is it forming 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. You want to see that grind at the bottom and you want to see the grind on top. If you can identify any of these 3 structures successfully once you've made a low, there's a high chance that you are going to create a higher low and continue momentum. Higher low, continue momentum, higher low, and continue momentum. These are the most important structures that you can learn from a technical perspective to try and identify if the bottom is in. If you make a 3-wave structure and you do not do that, okay, you end over here, there's a high chance you're going to claim the low again. Okay? And this is now based on this education and what I've just shared with everyone. Okay, now this has been my problem all along. If I go here onto the 1 hour time frame and I look at this structure, okay, let me switch this off, clean up the chart. Right. Okay, first thing I want to show everyone is look at this. Okay, when we made this bottom, this one, guess what happened? We formed a 3-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. Bad, really bad. If we did this, if we did that, I would have longed this retracement very aggressively with my stop below the low. I would have built a swing trade. There's a high chance you're going to go claim the all-time high again once you see this. Okay, what happened? We formed a 3-wave structure and we took the low again. So very important. Now we made this low, and now the question is, can this low be the low? Now this structure needs to form those 3 structures that I've just shared with you. Otherwise, okay, it's going to look really bad for the bulls. Okay, so there is a bullish structure because now I'm wearing my bullish hat for this scenario. I'm just wearing my bullish hat, okay, for this scenario. And I have discussed this scenario previously, and I want to discuss it again today because it looks like it could be coming to an end. That scenario is basically a diagonal. Okay, remember what I shared with everyone about diagonals? You basically are forming a diagonal. The rule for the diagonal, okay, let me do a little bit of more education over here. Okay, let me take an Elliott wave setup. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rule for a diagonal, okay, is that you take your trend from number 1, the top of 1, and you drag it across. And you take your second trend from the bottom of number 2 and you drag it across. Where many people get this wrong is that they try and put their trend from the bottom of the lowest point. It's not correct. You have to take it from number 2 on the top of number 1, and then that is where you get the contracting move, because a lot of people put their trend at the wrong place and then they see this and they're like, okay, well, trumpets, okay, or expanding diagonals are very rare, never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. A contracting move like that is way more common and plays out all the time. I see them every week, twice, 3, 5 times a week on the 1 minute time frame, 5 minute. They happen everywhere. Okay, they're very common. Right, so that is the rule. So also, again, from an education perspective, so I am now counting this. Okay, now, wait, before I get there. This scenario can happen in 2 ways. Okay, you can either have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a 3-wave corrective structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a 3-wave corrective structure. And then lastly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have a bigger ABC that corrects the entire structure, but it forms a higher low, usually there by the 0.618 when you take a fib from the low to the high, here by the 618, 786 maximum target, and then you want to see momentum back to the upside. Where this then forms a 1, this becomes your 2, and now you go up for a 3rd wave. Okay. Then there's another scenario, and not many people know about this. You can form a contracting diagonal in 3 waves. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is also valid. The rule for this scenario is all the waves has to be 3-wave structures. If this 5th wave, okay, goes and says, I'm going to be a 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it invalidates it, and there's a high chance you're going to come claim the low. all the waves has to be 3-wave structures. If one starts with a 3-wave, all the waves has to be 3-wave structures. If one starts with a 5-wave structure, all the waves has to be 5-wave structures. That's the rule for the diagonal. So by applying this rule, okay, now I look at this structure. And remember, legends, I kept on saying during every single live stream that this structure looks very 3-wavy. I struggle to count 5 waves in the impulses to the upside. But now this is where I'm looking at the scenario to say that, well, ooh, actually, what if this is an A, B, C? That's a 3-wave structure. Guess what? In a 1. So this is where my trend starts. This is a complex corrective structure in a, well, basically a 3-wave structure in a wave 2. Okay, then you potentially have another 1, 2, 3 here to the upside, 3-wave structure in a wave 3. You have a 3-wave structure or a 3-wave structure in a wave 4. And then this little move here to the upside is a B, C to complete your 5th wave. Okay, sorry, legends. I just want to put my phone on silent. Forgot to put my phone on silent. So there is a way to count the structure as a bullish structure, where you have completed 5 waves to the upside in a contracting diagonal. And what you would now want to see is, well, if the 5th wave is in, you could now be in the start of a bigger correction to the downside to form your larger 3-wave corrective structure that ultimately makes a higher low and continues back to the upside in an explosive 3rd wave, which could mean that we can go to the all-time highs where this low was the low. So there is a scenario, and based on this structure, it actually does look more 3-wavy to me, but every single wave has respected the 3-wave structure theory. Okay. I have seen on social media that some people are saying the following. Okay, so let me just take this out. I can go and count the waves in details, but we're gonna be here for too long. I have seen the following scenario on social media as well, which is also still valid. 1, 2, this is 3. We are still forming 4, and then we're still gonna go up for a 5. Okay, where you have an ABC, a 3-wave structure in 1. You have an A, B, C in 3, and now you're forming another A, B, C in 4, and then you go up for the 5th wave. Okay, right, so that scenario is still on the cards as well. The reason I don't particularly like this scenario, there's a reason it does count better from an Elliott wave perspective, but there's another reason why I don't particularly like the scenario, but we need to keep an open mind to the scenario over here, okay, is that we have that bigger trend here to the upside, okay? We all know this trend, okay, the one that everyone is waiting for, okay? If we break out, and it's a fake out, and we fall back down in a larger corrective structure, I have often seen when you fake out from a trend and you get acceptance back below the trend, you do increase the probabilities of taking the low. So I don't really like this scenario from a price action perspective because of this. When you break out and you get acceptance back below the trend, that's usually a really bearish sign. To then get another breakout, yes, it can definitely happen. I just don't like the scenario, okay? It would make more sense for me to say that, well, you know, we got everyone on the edge of their seats, okay? Maybe this is the scenario. The 5th wave is in. We are grinding against the trend. And we go down, and everyone's like, oh, we're going to take the low. And then we break out. There's no fake out. You break out and you continue to the upside. Right, so a couple of ways to look at this scenario. So I just want everyone to keep in mind that this scenario could still play out. Okay, because on the local scenario, this is something else that, you know, I like to discuss the bigger time frame, and then I zoom into the local structure to see, well, what is happening here more locally? Okay, can we fall down? Okay, because when I zoom into the 15-minute time frame, and Talma, this is where I'm going to answer some of your questions. And if I don't answer all of your questions, right, just let me know. Okay, so let me switch, well, let me delete all of these things. I don't need it anymore. Okay. It is very strange, and I have said this before. It is very strange. I just want to see something else. A, B. Okay, let's just do, I just want to see. Sorry, legends. Okay, if I take a fib from this high, because now I'm saying that this is an ABC. Okay, so I need to take my fib from this low to the high to the low. Oh, that 786 level is so well respected. During this entire range, this 786 level has been so well respected. Okay, look at where we got the rejection at the 786. It's such a well respected Fibonacci, trend-based Fibonacci level. Right, okay, so that fib pool makes sense. The only structure that confuses me, okay, which tells me that what if, okay, like I discussed yesterday, I'm now looking at this structure over here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and maybe the fourth wave is still busy. This is what I discussed yesterday, and we're still going to go up for 5. So we're going to create a mini fake out, and then we're going to fall to the downside. Okay, that is going to be a little bit more bearish. I think once we've done this, we find support over here, and we break out, there's a high chance that the rejection could potentially go and claim the low. Okay, the one thing that is strange for me is that when you take a trend-based fib from this low to the high to the low, we have tapped the 3.618. It is such a rare target for a C wave, because now you have to count this as a C wave. 1, 2, 3, or ABC. So now I'm counting this as an ABC. A, B, C. It's a 3-wave structure, which makes sense for a 5th wave. Okay, that bigger 5th wave that I've just explained. Okay, but it doesn't make sense for a C wave over here to end at the 3.618. I have personally never seen a C wave tap the 3.618. Very strange for me, which then in turn increases the probabilities that it does look more like, okay, maybe we extend a little bit more for one more high to the upside. Okay, because of this. But nonetheless, if it is a C wave, okay, I'm going to say, well, it's the first time that I have seen a C wave on Bitcoin, and we do fall here to the downside. Then, you know, it's really as simple as, legends. Let me switch on my today analysis. Okay. And I can take this out the way because I already have it marked out. It really is as simple as you have an invalidation. As soon as this price action taps the invalidation without taking the high, you increase the probabilities for that contracting diagonal that I've just shown you on the 1 hour time frame. And we could be in for a larger corrective structure to the downside. Could. It's good, because we could also make that bigger triangle where, you know, we've only completed the 3rd wave now, we go back up for the 5th wave. Okay, so it's just it's never easy in trading, right? I don't want to confuse anyone over here, but what I'm trying to highlight, okay, let me switch this off, is that if this is the scenario, okay, you can tap the invalidation. You can tap the invalidation and still go up for a 5th wave. And you are still forming a contracting diagonal. Okay, this trend actually needs to then be, yeah, right, a contracting diagonal. So now this is now the conundrum, legends, is that we have the invalidation. Okay, when I take a fib from the low to the high, there's your invalidation, 0.618. 0.61 is your invalidation, but it's also a target for a fourth wave, for a bigger fifth wave to the upside. Do you guys see? It's not easy. So what I'm trying to highlight over here is that I will still give this bounce the benefit of the doubt to break out. I will still give it the benefit of the doubt. Right. Because 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, let me just do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4 for this structure will be invalidated. Okay, but it does still leave the possibility for this 4 on the larger structure over here, where you still go and create a bigger fifth wave here to the upside. Okay, especially if there is strength and there's bullish CVD building up, and especially if it stays contracting. Remember, the move needs to stay contracting. So let me take this, let me put another trend-based FIP in here. Okay, this is contracting. Can you guys see that the lines are going towards each other? It's squeezing the price action to become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, it has to be contracting. So the one thing that I will look at is that if price does break down aggressively and you take a parallel channel, here we go, you connect the high of 1, okay, with the high of where we are right now, this basically this high over here, you drag it down to number 2. Okay, as soon as you tap the bottom of this parallel channel, you invalidate this fourth wave, and there's no more fifth wave to the upside, which means that that was 3, this was 5, and this was 4. As soon as you tap the bottom of this parallel channel, so you basically have to tap the 786 over here. As soon as you tap that level, it is more than likely an A wave to the downside. You're going to go up for a B wave and you're going to fall down in a C wave. And then there's still a chance to make a higher low for then a breakout to the upside. Ooh, not easy, right, legends? Not easy. Right, I'm not sure if everyone was here yesterday during the live stream, but something I quickly just want to highlight is that Bluffin has that spin the wheel deal. Okay. Right, legends, link for Bluffin is here, the second link down in the description. And the reason I love Bluffin here at the moment is because they granted my wish. I asked them, can they put Dogecoin in the wheel for me? You know, the MacBook Pro, there's AirPods, there's a $500 futures position, but I wanted them to put the Dogecoin there in the wheel for me, because I'm very bullish on Doge. And not because I like Doge. From a technical perspective, it really looks strong. Okay, so I want everyone to have a little bit of Doge, even if you have to spin the wheel to get some free Doge. Why not? Okay, so by signing up only with my link, okay, only with my link. If you sign up with someone else's link, you won't be able to spin the wheel. But if you signed up with my link for existing and new users, every time you move $10,000 worth of volume, and that is basically if you enter a position with $1,000 at 10x leverage, you've moved $10,000 worth of volume. It will unlock the wheel and you can go and spin it, and you can win either MacBook Pro, AirPods, $500 features position, 100 Doge, 2 Doge, 20 Doge. I think the biggest one here is 100 Doge, okay, or $5 features position, but you get to spin every time you trade $10,000 worth in volume. You can go and spin the wheel. Right. Also, you get 10% cash back on the money that you deposit in your features account, and for the larger traders, you will automatically get upgraded to VIP 1 and 2 depending on how much money you have deposited into your features account. Right, and then also, here we go. Weeks, they still have the 50% cash back up to $1,000. So if you deposit $2,000, you get $1,000 50% cash back to trade with. Okay, and the competition I think starts tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. They have a competition. The link to register for the competition is right over here. Okay, And I'm definitely, yeah, tomorrow the competition starts, okay? On Thursday, the competition starts. So we can win our share. We will trade together as a team, okay? So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to deposit a little bit more cash into my week's account, okay? Not just that $100 that I'm trading with, so that I can start moving some volume, because you win on both P&Ls and how much volume you move. Okay, so I want to move some volume so that we as a team can win some prizes. Right, so links are down in the description. You also get 25% discount on your trading fees. And then I've got Phoenix. Okay, so I'm giving you guys options, right? And I'm organizing you the best deals. You can pick. You like Weeks, you like Bluffin, you like Phoenix, maybe you like all three of them. I trade with multiple exchanges because I personally like to diversify my funds. I do not put all my money into one exchange. I even still trade with Bybit and with Mexi. Okay, also the links are down in the description. Right, but you get up to $2,000 airdrop position. All you need is an email and a password for these three exchanges, and you can start trading in minutes. Right, cool, Legends. And if you want to join our Legends Pro community, here is the link down in the description. Okay, so currently still getting some momentum here to the downside. So, Legends, okay, I know that it gets confusing, okay. I know that, you know, I'm talking about contracting diagonals. I'm talking about a potential fourth wave that could still bounce. Maybe, you know, we're still going to create another fifth wave over here. So to keep things simple, you know, focus on the local structure to keep things simple. Okay. More locally, let's take all of this junk out. Well, all of the noise out the way. I won't call it junk because it's pure technical analysis at the end of the day. But let's take these things out the way. Right, there we go. So on the 15-minute time frame, okay, the highest probable scenario on the smaller time frame, this little damn local structure that we're forming here at the moment, yes, we have lost trend. I don't care that we have lost that trend. Okay, the highest probable scenario is that when you take a fib, trend-based fib from this low to the high, there is still the highest probable scenario is still if you do not tap the 0.618, which is over there. Let's make it red. Let's make it nice and thick. Okay, that's your invalidation. Let's take this out the way. Whatever happens here locally, as long as you do not tap this level, there is still a chance to go and claim the high and even go to $90,000. $89,000, $90,000. As long as you do not tap this invalidation, this can still be a fifth wave. It could still create a fifth wave to the upside. Definitely a possibility. One of the scenarios that I'm still keeping an eye on is to say that, well, this definitely looks like the 1, the 2, and the 3. The question now is, where on earth is the fourth wave going to end? We don't know. But this fourth wave corrective structures, they can get very complex, okay, to go and create that fifth wave to the upside. As long as you do not tap the invalidation from a simplicity perspective, there's still a chance to go and claim this high, and you've also tapped the 0.88 over there, which increases the probabilities to still come and take out this high. So when you take a fib from this high to the low, you can see that we have tapped the 0.88. It is very rare target for a wave 2 because, you know, and the reason I call this number 2 is because what if this is a 1, 2, another 1, 2, and this is now starting to create impulses back to the downside. It's very rare for a second wave to tap the 0.88. It's not an invalidation, but it is rare to see that, especially for impulsive moves to the downside. Right. Let me take this out the way. Okay, there's another simple scenario, okay, where I just want to take first, I want to take my trend-based fib. You take your trend-based fib from the high to the low that we've created over here to this high, okay? Now, this is where it becomes interesting. The 1-to-1 extension over here, the white line, has to hold for this to happen. Okay, has to hold. If you tap the 1.236, you tap the invalidation. Okay, so this is, for me, the last line in the sand for your fourth wave to still go and create the fifth wave here to the upside to keep this bullish structure intact. Okay, so maybe we go up, maybe we come back down, but you know, if we tap the 1-to-1 extension, I will use this line as a swing failure pattern line, and I will definitely be looking for long at this zone. Definitely, if price, even now from where it is at the moment, if price comes down here and it taps the level and it starts trading above, this is where I long, and this is where I put my stop loss. You could give your stop loss a little bit of room and put it below the invalidation of the entire structure just to play it safe, but I want to see the sign of strength. I want price to start trading back above this level. That is a sign of strength. Not as price is at the bottom. I'm not interested. As long as price is trading below my area of interest, no long. That's not how I trade personally. Okay, so a very interesting level. I think if I take a normal fib here from the low to the high, okay, that 1-to-1 extension is just slightly below the 0.5 Fibonacci, which is regarded as the maximum target. Okay, so in a nutshell, legends, to keep things simple, okay, this is the area that needs to hold if we still need to go and claim the high. As soon as you tap the invalidation, yes, there are other scenarios that highlights that even if you tap the 0.618, preferably not the 786, but even if you tap the invalidation, you could still go and claim the high. Based on the contracting diagonals that I've just shared on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so, but I'm more focused just here on the local structure. From the local perspective, this is your invalidation to do that. Okay, I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to explain over here. Right, legends. What I can also tell you, if price breaks the level, okay, and it taps the invalidation, it's not to say that I'm not going to long. I can still long this. Okay, because I will treat this as an SFP. Look at that beautiful pivot. I cannot ignore the bullishness of the structure. You have a beautiful swing failure pivot. You have the 0.618, okay? And even if it invalidates the structure and it does this, I can long with my stop below the low, and when it comes back up and it starts hitting resistance, I can still benefit from that momentum to the upside. If I continuously see strength to the upside, bullish CVD, I don't see any weakness in the price, I might just leave it open and let it run. Okay, because this might even give you the breakout, because on the 1 hour time frame it has the potential to do that. This is now where it gets confusing, but I will definitely still enter a long if I see what I like at my invalidation, because I can practice good risk management and I can protect my position when price moves to the upside. So it becomes a free trade. Okay, I will definitely take profits on the way up, like I did with Doge. Okay, definitely I will take profits on the way up, and but you could still have that scenario of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You tap the invalidation, you make people believe that this is not going to happen, but then based on the larger structure, it still happens. Okay, very interesting scenario over here. So I will still consider a long from the 0.618. Okay. Right, never easy, right, legends? Never easy. Okay, let me go through some comments. Telma, I hope that I've answered all the questions that you've asked so far. I know some people, and this is most probably the truncated fifth wave that some people are speculating on. What if this is the structure? I can tell you now, I'm not even looking at it. Not even looking at it. There's truncated fifth waves are so rare. Okay, I would rather say, instead of speculating on this, I would rather say it was this. It was an A, B, C. That's it. And what's happening here is forming a larger corrective structure back to the downside. Okay. than speculating on a 4 and a truncated fifth wave. It's just, I've never seen a truncated fifth wave in my trading career on Bitcoin. And if you have seen a truncated fifth wave, join our community, our Discord community, share your chart, show me. I would love to see it. Okay, I'm not saying that it can't happen, because it can happen in Elliott wave theory. It's extremely rare to have a truncated fifth wave. Okay. I have seen some people that have shared truncated fifth waves with me in the past, and it turned out to be an ABC, not a truncated fifth wave. Right. Yes, it makes sense. And we still need to build wave Y. Okay, now this is now the other scenario, Talma. You raise a very interesting point over here. Okay. Which I'll get. Let me just switch on that scenario so I don't forget. Okay. It is this one. And let me take out this and just leave it at that. Right. This is still a scenario. So I have now shown you the bullish structure where we formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could go down for an ABC and continue. That's the bullish structure. It makes sense. It's contracting. It has 3 waves in all of the structures. So there's a chance to form a higher low. But now this is the bearish case scenario, because a good analyst will always have a bullish and a bearish case scenario. If you're following someone on YouTube from a technical perspective and they only have bullish case scenarios, be very wary. Okay, be very afraid, because there always needs to be a bearish case scenario as well. Now this is the bearish case scenario. Okay, there's a chance that the Y wave is done. Based on this local structure over here that we've just analyzed, as long as you do not tap the invalidation, we could still make one more high. And then all that happens is your Y wave moves over there. Still makes perfect sense. Perfect. But now this is a corrective structure in an A, B, C in W. A complex corrective structure in X, and then another A, B, C in the Y wave that rejects at the zone 0.382 when you take a fib from the all-time high to the all-time low, basically the highest point to the lowest point, you have the 0.382. You have a weekly point of control. When you do a trend-based fib extension to measure the structure, you take your fib from the low to the high of X to the low of the high of W to the low of X. You can see that you also have the 1-to-1 extension over there. A very common Y wave target if we still make one more high. But a Y wave target is also the 786, so the Y wave could have finished here. So the difference between the two structures is this structure has a high chance of taking the low, where the bullish structure in the contracting diagonal has a high chance of making a higher low and continuing to the upside. So it's all about, at the end of the day, it's about paying attention to levels of support. Do we build up bullish CVD? Do you see strength? Is there fear? Are the RSIs at the bottoms? Are the MACDs crossing and showing, I don't know, whatever indicator you're using to find strength in the price. If price moves down here and there's massive strength over here, it increases the probabilities that you're going up, you're going to break the trend finally, and then, it's not a WXY, you invalidate the WXY. Right. As price is grinding to the downside, if there's continuous weakness, bearish CVD building up against each pivot, just weakness all the time, there's no bullish CVD building up against the pivots to the downside. It just shows clear weakness. RSIs are not bottoming out and your MACDs are not crossing over, right? Whatever. Okay, if price is showing weakness, you're most probably gonna fall to the downside. But the one thing that I know as a technical trader, regardless of whether this is going to be a bullish structure or whether it's going to fall down to the downside, is I can attempt longs at specific areas of confluence. And if I get stopped out, I will get stopped out at break even, most likely. And if I do take a loss, I will take a teeny weeny little loss. Okay, so I can attempt longs everywhere in this structure. Okay, and benefit from momentums to the upside and to the downside and to the upside and to the downside and to the up. You know, you get the point, right? And continuously just taking profits. You know, when you long support, you take profits at resistance. When you short resistance, you take profits at support. It can like to be as simple as that. Right, so this is unfortunately the bearish case scenario. And there is a chance, okay, that once you hit the invalidation, that this was your Y wave in an A, B, C, which is done. And now we are building momentum to the downside. It's just not, you know, that 0.88 tap. Okay, unless it's very, 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 very early to call for this scenario. Okay, if we do the following, well, not we, if Bitcoin does the following, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I see this, okay, if I see this, oops, that is a contracting diagonal to the downside in a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, you tap the invalidation, you go back up for 4, but you stay contracting. Okay, you stay contracting. 5, if I see this structure play out, this exact structure play out, guess what this is? This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could get an ABC to the upside and you could fall. If I see this structure, I'm going to short the crap out of that retracement. Okay, because this shows me that price action is reversing over here. It taps the invalidation. It looks like it's going back up. It turns around. It falls back down. If I see this 5-wave structure to the downside, this retracement, which is basically you have 5 waves down, you have an ABC back up, this is where I'm going to short, because this increases the probabilities of even taking the low all the way down at $76,000. Okay. There's another scenario. And I think Andy spoke about this scenario in his live stream, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Is that there's a smaller one forming over here, right? It's basically this. Let's do this. This is now the smaller scenario. Okay. That is still bullish, actually, right? Where you're now forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You do not tap the invalidation. Okay, you have 1, 2, 3. It goes now. It's now going up for a 4. It comes back down for a 5. Okay, that will be bullish, because that is then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is an A, B, and a contracting C to the downside, which is a corrective structure, and then you could pop back to the upside. Woo, right. It is no longer realistic to see. Is it no longer realistic to see 63K? Okay, so let me go here onto the 4-hour time frame. Okay. Sean, is it Sean or is it Seen? It looks like it's Sean, because I know Sean is also spelled the same way that your name is written over here. Okay, Sean. There is 63K is a little bit low, okay, but there is a scenario where let's tackle the 4-hour time frame here at the moment. Okay, Sean, just for you, because I know this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Sean, okay, cool. There is a scenario that I have on the larger time frame, which is this. $63,000 is a little bit low, I must say. It's a little bit low, and I will see if I have time to explain why $63,000 is actually very dangerous. Okay, but there is still a scenario where all of this to the downside was a W. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the micro counts, but it balances perfectly. Right. You have an A, B, C in W. Okay, and this mess that is happening now is that WXY here to the upside, or a complex corrective structure in X. Okay, and once your C is in or your X is in, you can go and create a Y wave here to the downside that could go. I mean, I need the X to be in to determine and go and calculate where the Y wave can end up at. Okay, but I think what makes it interesting is if you go onto the 8-hour time frame and I look at this entire structure that is formed here to the upside. Okay, let me take the brushes here out the way, and let me do this and just put the WXY structure there. Okay, so you're basically looking at a WXY. Okay, we still have some trends that have not been tapped. From a simplicity perspective, when you connect this high to this high or this low to this low, you have not tapped this trend, and that is potentially where your Y wave can find support. Also, when you take a Fibonacci, just doing some basic technical analysis over here from the low to the high, okay, you still have the 0.618 at $72,000, and we all know when you have a Fib retracement from the low to the high, this is a very strong Fibonacci level, and you can see we're currently finding support here by the 50%. Okay, this 0.618 has very strong confluence with the highs over here. Okay, the golden pocket basically. So for price to still tap the 786 and break through this trend and break through this trend, okay, I don't think that is going to be a high probable scenario. I just want to see something here on the, because I think there's a fair value gap. Okay, was it the daily time frame? Just want to see something here. Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to lose this high. And I will explain to everyone tomorrow why you don't want to lose this structure over here. You don't really want to go lower, okay, than $72,000 to $69,000 with this Y wave. But there is a scenario that supports a Y still going down lower, WXY. There is a scenario that supports it, okay? Purely from a technical perspective, yes, you can tap the 786. I do think that this low, okay, is going to be so fearful for a lot of people that they are going to definitely believe that we are back in a bear market, this low over here. But from a technical Fibonacci perspective, it is still a bullish bounce. You just don't want to tap the 0.88. That increases the probabilities of taking the low. Okay, this is your maximum target. $62,000 is your maximum target. But I do think that if price comes down in a low, this is more than likely where it is going to find support. $72,000 to $69,000. The golden pocket. Right. Please put the Y a little bit up. I have liquidation level 70k in my trading bot. Do not scare me. Ooh. Right, legends. Let's go back into the scenario, okay? Let's go back into the scenario. Remember to smash up that like button. If you have not smashed up the like button, remember to smash up that like button for the education and the pure technical analysis over here. Also, your ways to show some love for me being here and sharing all the scenarios. Right. Okay. Let's quickly look at the moment, still the highest probable scenario. Okay. Let me put on the WXY and I can take my scrappy one out there. Okay, let's go on to the 4-hour time frame. For now, okay, we're continuing to fall here to the downside. For now, unfortunately, this scenario still carries the highest probability. Okay, and I just want to focus on this local structure over here. In your X wave, this little bad boy over here, you can form a A, B, C, D, E. We've already done from W, okay, from this low over here, we've already done A. Okay, let me take these other ones out the way so you guys can see clearly, right? Let me take these ones out. Okay, you guys can see that, and maybe let me make it bigger so everyone can see. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's just make it primary so everyone can see my little pink lines or my pink things over here, and I can even switch on the lines so that everyone can follow. There we go. In your X, okay, you can form A, B, C, D, E in a triangle. Can you guys see the triangle? In an X wave. And then once your A, B, C, D, E is in, you go down for a Y wave. Okay. If I have to speculate on the structure and just say, well, what if it plays out perfectly? What if we reject over here from where we are right now? Yeah, what if we reject and we go down for a D? And we go then back up for E, and we reject again by the trend line, which now completes the E over here. Okay, I can go and draw a fib, and this is now just speculative because I don't have the actual price action to do accurate targets. But what I can do is I can measure where this Y wave can end, and I can give you guys the minimum target. Right, you take your trend base fib from the top to the bottom to where this E is going to end, and I drag it across. Right. Your first target for a Y wave, your first target, which is where I think we are going to get the bounce, if the structure plays out, is the 0.618 at $66,833. And this is now speculating that the structure is going to play out exactly like I have it drawn out. Okay, so price action can still do a lot of other funky things. Maybe the E goes a little bit higher, or maybe the C is not done. Okay, maybe the C is still going to pop out a little bit over here. Maybe the C is still going to pop out a little bit. Maybe the E will be lower. Maybe the E will be higher. Right, I don't know how it's going to play out, but this is now just drawing it out, speculating on the E is going to not break the trend. Then someone mentioned that they have a liquidation price at $70,000, right? You could go and tap $66,000 because that is your first target for a Y wave. Okay, then you have the 786, and then you have the 1-to-1 extension and the 1.236. You don't really want these levels to get hit because you are going to invalidate the macro bullish structure. So you really want price to find support, ideally at the 0.618, maximum 786 at $61,000. Okay. Right. But now, legends, there is still a chance. Let me switch off all the scenarios. Okay, there is still the chance, like I've highlighted during, let me just breathe some good news and some hopium back into the community. Okay, is that there is definitely still a chance. Did I actually draw this? Here we go. So I don't have to go and draw out everything. There is still a scenario where the low could be in. This has formed a 3-wave in 1, 3-wave in 2, 3-wave in 3, 3-wave in 4, 3-wave in 5. And even if we get a larger correction here to the downside, there is a high chance that you're going to find support, make a higher low, and this becomes a 1, 2, and it's going to go up for a 3rd wave. And now I can also speculate on that target. Okay, this is now just speculating. You take a trend base fib from the low to this high, because this is the high that we have now, and let's say we find support here because that's a good support area. There's a lot of liquidity below this low, but let's say we dip below, we grab all the liquidity. Okay, then you're looking at $100,000 for the next move up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. At least you're looking at least the 1.618. It can go to the 2.618. It can go to the 3.618, 4.618, 5.618. Third waves can get really explosive. Okay, but this is your minimum target. You then do a 4 and you do a 5. Okay, at $104,000. Then you make another correction and you continue momentum back to the upside. So I'm not sure which scenario we are going to get, but I do have my invalidations for each scenario, and I know what to look out for to invalidate and then activate another scenario. And the more price action we get, the higher probability, the more the probabilities will shift to one scenario and decrease towards another scenario. Okay, so again, from a simplicity perspective, legends, okay, we're looking at okay, this local structure over here. As long as this local structure in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 does not tap the invalidation, we still have a chance to claim the high. This is now what we're looking for right now. This could be a range forming over here and we're going to still pop out. But it's this little pop out that I'm very, very, very interested in shorting. I'm very interested in shorting this potential fifth wave to the upside. Okay, we have, let me switch on my weekly level, right? We have a weekly point of control. I want to go here on 30-minute. Need some more price action. Okay, so there's lots of confluence at this zone. Okay, I can take this one out. This is, ladies and gentlemen, when you take a fib from the low to the high of X to the low, you have the one-to-one extension. Okay, there's a lot of confluence at this level. You have the one-to-one extension, you have a weekly point of control, you have the 0.382 when you take a trend from the high, all-time high, to the lowest point of the structure, you have the 0.382. There's a lot of confluence at this level over here. So if we still do make another high here to the upside, I am looking to short this little bad boy over here. Okay, the structure has to at some point start correcting itself. Okay, I know that there are some people looking at the structure as forming multiple 1-2s to the upside. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, another 1, 2. When you start having so many 1-2s, legends, I can tell you guys now, if this is the scenario where it's building up 1-2s, 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 okay, and it just, I need to zoom out for this one, and it does this, it just flies, okay, smashes all the resistances like it doesn't even exist, like a hot knife through butter, a very hot knife through butter, okay. If it falls down like that, I am shorting inside of this structure, and I'll most probably have my fib from the low to the high as soon as it taps the 0 point, but we will analyze that, okay? But basically what I'm trying to highlight here is if it does this and it shoots up and it retraces too deep, I will short because it's more than likely going to claim the low. But if it does this, so it basically repeats what it did over here on top. It does this. This retracement, I'm going to be very interested in longing because this, ladies and gentlemen, is a bullish structure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. However many fives is here, ones is here, you want the fives there on top. If I see this, okay, I am longing this. I'm building a swing position here with my stop below the low. Only if I see this. If it falls down, not interested, because then there's a high chance it's going to claim the low and most likely go to $68,000. Okay. Right, but I just have to stress, legends, this scenario for me carries very low probability. I don't see it happening. Okay, I think that there are so many other scenarios that carries higher probability at the moment, because in 1112s, okay, when you form 1 2 1 2 1 2 and you pop to the upside, there has to be 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. And inside, when I go onto the 3-minute 1-minute time frame and I count these structures here to the upside, these little structures to the upside, I struggled, especially this one, to count clear 5-wave structures to the upside. Okay, inside of these little local push, these local pushes to the upside, it's very difficult to count 5-wave structures inside of these structures, which for me decreases the probabilities for multiple 1-2s, and we're just going to rock and roll to the upside. Okay, so legends. Now, okay, let's switch on the highest probable trading setup, and now we're coming to trading setups over here. Let me go through some comments and then we can continue. Remember to smash up that like button. Let me just take a sip of water over here. Legends, you are all in the Discord. Are you all in the Discord? Yes, make sure that you sign up for our pro community. We have a free community as well. Here is the link down in the description. I see SGS has also shared it here inside of the comment sections. Smash that like for the education. Thanks, Mr. Junior. Jeffrey, people are forcing the chart to abide by Elliott wave theory instead of applying proper Elliott wave theory to the chart. Okay, that's an interesting theory. People are forcing chart to abide by Elliott wave theory. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, I think the nice thing for me about Elliott wave theory is that it often gives me directional bias. I will sometimes have a bullish and a bearish case scenario that shows me price still needs to go up, regardless of whether it's a bullish or bearish case scenario, and that gives me directional bias, for example. Okay. Also for 1 2 3 4 5, as soon as the 4th wave taps the 0.618 and invalidates a 5-wave structure, then I start looking for shorts. So there's a lot of things inside of Elliott wave theory from an invalidation and a trend-based FIB perspective that gives me trading opportunities. For example, okay, a very simple one is that if you look at this structure here to the upside, whether it's a 5-wave structure, whether it's a contracting, I don't give a shit at the end of the day, okay? But what is very interesting about Elliott wave theory for me is the FIB extensions. Okay, this is the thing that I find most interesting about Elliott wave theory is regardless of what structure it is, look at how beautifully it respects, okay, Fibonacci levels. Because you have to unfortunately know Elliott wave theory to know how to do the FIB pools. But if you did this FIB pool correctly, you could have shorted the 0.618. Look at that beautiful short. You could have now entered a short here at the 786 and you could have taken profits when you hit support. Okay, and now I'm paying attention to the 1 2 1. So these levels gives me shorting opportunities. If I am in a long from lower down, it also tells me where I need to start taking profits. So that's the beauty about Elliott wave theory for me that a lot of people don't realize. Okay, so there is always so many scenarios that it confuses people. But once you start getting the hang of it and you can look at the bullish and the bearish case scenario, overlay them, and you see the invalidations and the structures that's happening, you know where to put your stop losses, you know where to take profits, and you have opportunities of levels that you can short and long to the up and to the downside. So it's really, for me, it's a really powerful strategy to have as part of your arsenal. Okay, right. But Jeffrey, very good, very good analogy over there. Going above 90k is impossible. Why? Because big whales, I think you meant to say whales, have said the S&P will perform lower this year. Well, based on the WXY scenario, okay, the larger WXY to the downside, it does carry some weight, definitely, okay. Yes, as pro, highly recommended. Hi, Dewald. I mean, not just Elliott wave, but any technical analysis. Sometimes people force their TA because they are on one side. Yes, I agree 100%. I'm not going... Sorry, let me just take a sip of water. Jeffrey, you have said something so very true, because I have seen, and I'm not going to mention any names, there's a specific person, and I don't follow this person anymore, that is a perma bull. And then there are some people that are perma bears. But if you have, I agree with you 100%, if you are consistently looking at the market only through one lens, a bullish lens, you will only see bullish targets. You will only see bullish scenarios. You will keep on buying the dips. You will bleed out your portfolio, and you will also miss out on shorting opportunities because you're looking through a bullish lens. You will never short because you're only looking for bounces. Okay? And I know that there's a person on YouTube that is a perma bull, and I can almost guarantee you that this person really struggles to make money during bear markets and the price action that we're currently seeing, because all they see is bullishness, 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 and they cannot trade unless there is bullishness in the market. And they most probably do best in trading only when there's a bullish trending market. They most likely struggle during ranges, and they cannot trade a bear market. So you have to be able to have both lenses on at the same time, and that is incredibly difficult for a lot of traders, okay, to have that bullish and that bearish lens on, to say that, well, I see a bearish case scenario and I see a bullish case scenario. I will short this level and I will take profits there. I will long this level and I will take profits, you know, because you are not bullish or bearish. You're basically just trading the levels in front of you. You're shorting resistance, you're taking profits by support. You're longing support, you're taking profits by resistance. Okay, exactly what happened here on Dogecoin. Right? I saw the bullish signs. I saw we broke trend. I saw we formed resistance. Okay, I took the trade. TP1, TP2, I left the moon back open and I closed my position. I don't care if it's going to do, I don't care. I will look for next trading setup. I will look for consolidation, whatever the case might be. And one could also argue, well, that was a great shorting opportunity. Okay, as soon as you start hitting support, you take profits. You could have benefited from that momentum to the downside. But if you're only a perma bull, okay, you're just going to keep on adding with any dips. You're going to build a massive position over here, most probably go in with your entire portfolio, and you're smiling, and then it comes back down. It makes one more low, and then it continues to the upside, and you are out the market. You're liquidated. You're out. You have to find, you know, go work at McDonald's, get some money together to start trading again. You will get lucky a couple of times, but eventually you'll bleed out your portfolio. Right, cool, legends. Now let's go through some more comments. The comments are very interesting today. How to know retracement channel reversal? Dewald, did you check about Layer AI? If I'm not mistaken, Layer AI had a massive dump yesterday. Was it Layer AI that I saw that had the massive momentum to the downside? Let me go bring up the chart. I do have a spot bag. Okay. I did not sell. I did get stopped out of my Layer swing trade long ago. Okay. But I did add a small little spot bag as well. And no, it's not this one. Okay, there was something that had a massive dump to the downside yesterday, like a 30%, 33% dump to the dump yesterday. Well, I mean, Layer AI actually looks great, right? It's breaking trend. It's finding momentum to the upside. Okay, from a simplicity perspective, it's not pretty. Okay, there was your breakout. Okay. You play the breakout, you apply your trading strategy. It's as simple as that, right? I do have a spot bag, okay? So you enter the trade with good risk management. Okay, your stop goes below the low. You take your fib. Okay, you can be very conservative. Take it from this high to the low. And as soon as you start hitting some Fibonacci levels, which is usually in alignment with resistance, TP1, TP2, and usually the 618 is where I get out. Okay, I know it can go to higher levels, but you know, if you have a nice little risk to reward trade of 3.87, you know, like I did with Doge, I get out because I'm a day trader, right? I don't like to particularly leave trades in for weeks. Okay, I might leave a moon bag open now and again, but it's the spot bags that makes the difference for me. Right, how to spot or detect rejection at major resistance levels. So for me, the easiest way is swing failure patterns, because swing failure patterns is the only trading strategy that I know of, and maybe there's another trading strategy, okay, but it's the only trading strategy that I know of where I can manage my risk exceptionally well and have free trades to the up and to the downside. And if I get stopped out, I get stopped out at break even, and sometimes I only pay the trading fees. Okay, so a swing failure pattern for me is by identifying you have a level, like literally a line. It's not a zone, it's a line. Okay, if price finds momentum to the upside, it pierces the level and it falls back down, that is where I short. But it has to get below my level, because now I'm looking for a short, so it has to be below my area of interest, but it needs to pierce it to grab the liquidity above. This is where I short, that is where I put my stop loss. That is how I play a resistance and a support. If price had to fall down here, purely just looking at the price action, this pivot looks very interesting. Okay, that is support. You can see if I drag it across, nice support. Okay, if price had to fall down here, it pierces the level, it gets back up and it starts trading above. That to me is a long with my stop below the low. It does, you know, every trading strategy has pros and cons, but what this enables me to do is that when I enter a long over here and price grinds a little bit up, usually what I do is I protect my position. I put my stop loss at my entry price, sometimes even a little bit higher, so that if I get stopped out, I cover my fees as well. Because sometimes what does happen is price reverses, it stops me out, and it gets acceptance back above. Again, I enter with my stop below the low, but now I've been stopped out with no loss. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So it is a strategy that enables you to catch the tops and the bottoms. So that's the advantage of the strategy. Okay, you could have shorted the 0.618. You pierce the level, you start trading above, you enter a short with your stop above the high. As soon as you start hitting support, you take profits. Beautiful. Played out to perfection. Okay. But each and every single trading strategy has advantages and disadvantages. Okay. The disadvantage about swing failure patterns is that often I get stopped out a couple of times before price reverses. But I know this. I've done it 1,000 times. I know what to look out for. This is why I protect my position, and this is why I have rules built around it. Okay? And that is also why I'm a very persistent trader. I can be stopped out 3-4 times in a day with no loss, and eventually I will get the momentum to either the up or to the downside. A lot of people do not have the stomach for this trading strategy. When people get stopped out, it creates fear. They don't want to re-enter. Okay. So, I mean, each trading strategy has their pros and cons, but what it does enable me to do is to catch the tops and the bottoms. Okay. And then there's many different ways to trade swing failure patterns. Some people will wait. Some people will wait for this and the retracement. So they take a fib from the low to the high and they get in at the 0.618 or the 786. So they enter over there. They wait for the rejection and they wait for the retracement. Okay. And they will put their stop loss above the high. Some people, and there's nothing wrong with either of these scenarios that I'm explaining at the moment. Some people will wait for that and they will put their stop loss a little bit higher. They will give the stop loss a little bit of room to breathe so that if this happens, they don't get stopped out and eventually the move happens. I have tried this strategy in the past, and I do sometimes use it, especially if I enter a trade before I go to bed or something. I will give my stop loss a little bit of room, but I'll use less capital, or I'll deploy less capital for that trade, and I'll give my stop loss a little bit of room. The biggest question about this: how much room do you give the stop loss? Because often what used to happen to me in the past is I give my stop loss a little bit of room to breathe, and then it stops me out and then it moves. And now I've taken a big loss. Okay, so I prefer the strategy where I protect my position, get stopped out, protect my position, get stopped out, and eventually price rolls over. But there's no right or wrong. It's just about preference at the end of the day. Right, legends, and remember, if you'd like to support the channel and come and trade with me, the links for the exchanges that I use is down in the description. If you want to grab some Doge, okay, and spin the wheel, the more volume you move, okay, every time you move $10,000 worth of volume, it's very easy to move $10,000 worth of volume. If you have a $1,000 account at 10x leverage, you play a small little trade, you have moved $10,000 worth of volume. You can get some Doge, you can get a MacBook Pro, AirPods, right here on Bluff, and every time you move $10,000, you get a chance to spin and to spin and to spin and to spin. So you also get 10% on your cash back when you deposit money in your features account. And then I also have weeks. Okay, a lot of people enjoy weeks, some people don't like weeks. I personally enjoy trading on weeks. I haven't had any issues. You still get 50% cash back on the money that you deposit in your features account, 25% discount on your trading fees, and they have a competition that starts tomorrow, where when you select the link down in the description to register, you will join the Legends Pro community, the Bitcoin Census team, and we will trade together for our share of $800,000. Right. Those are basically the exchanges and the links that I have where I organize you guys the best deals. Okay. Okay, what else? What else? Rune 2 came down. Rune 2 came down. Let's go have a look at Rune, because I started buying. I started buying a little bit of a Rune bag. I mean, no, that's nothing, right? I mean, guys, if I'm building a spot bag, okay, these little movements to the up and to the downside is insignificant. I can tell you guys now. Right, when I build a spot position, I have a zone. Okay, I have a zone where I'm building my spot position, right? And no financial advice. You do you, right? Please don't do what I do, because I'm just a crazy dude on YouTube entertaining everyone. But I can share with you what I do, and you might think that I'm crazy. Whatever the case might be, I don't care, but this is what I do, right? Is that I am building a position in the zone, even if it claims the low, but I'm building in the zone. I'm not stuffing around on the 15-minute time frame trying to play the breakout. That's day trading, that's swing trading, okay? But if I'm looking at a structure, okay, when I build a swing or a spot position, I'm looking at the entire structure, and I'm like, okay, this looks like a good zone for me to start building a spot position. Goes up, goes down, goes up, I don't care. I'm building a position here. If it shows strength, okay, as soon as it claims that high, it makes a higher high, maybe it rejects by the trend, I'm going to build a little bit more there, because now you're changing market structure. So I'm building a position on bigger swings, okay, price action to the up and to the downside. Right, but I mean that little mini dump on Rune is nothing, right? Because I'm building a, okay, well, what I do like about Rune, I'm not sure if everyone has heard my why I'm building a spot position. Okay, this was the trend. This is the major trend that I was tracking, and I really keep my technical analysis very simple on the altcoins that I'm building. Okay, I don't have a large bag of Rune. Okay, my biggest bags are Link, ICP. I have a list. I will go through that list, right? But what I like about Rune is that the first momentum I was tracking was this one, and we broke out. I did nothing. I was like, okay, that's a sign of strength. Like it. I want to now see Rune break this trend. And it broke it. I was like, ooh, okay. 2 ticks. Love it, love it. I have now 2 bullish ticks that it could potentially turn around. But I still did nothing. Okay? Because I don't trust this Rune with the FUD that's come out. I want to see some strength. I want to see selling pressure getting exhausted. And then it continued to go sideways. And this is what I love. After a massive dump to the downside, when any token, any technical token, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, gold, platinum, when you have a volatile move in a direction and you start going sideways, okay? Well, when you're coming from the downside and you start going sideways, for me, this is a sign of selling pressure is getting exhausted. Okay, you have broken trend, and then more locally here, you have broken trend. And this is where I decided, okay, I'm going to build a small spot position. Okay, strength, 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 strength. I like it. I have enough ticks. I'm going to build a spot position. Right, and I've been waiting long for Rune to build a spot position because it's just been tumbling here to the downside. Doge, on the other hand, looks way better than Rune, okay? It looks like it's already finding upwards momentum. But again, this little dumpy to the downside is insignificant with regards to the position that I'm building from a spot perspective, okay? I have a zone. And inside of the zone, and I ideally would like, from a spot perspective, believe it or not, I would like for us to go and claim the low, because it will, bring my entry price a little bit down. For example, if it does this, okay, swing failure pattern, I build a spot position, then I know where to put my stop loss. Well, that's a swing trade. Okay, that will most likely be a swing trade. It won't be a spot. I will most probably buy up the low to increase my position size and drag down my entry. But it's a nice zone for me to build a spot bag, because if you go onto the daily time frame, if I am building a spot position speculating on this, I actually played around this morning. Look at this. I was just playing around ever so slightly this morning, just speculating on, well, what if? Okay, I was doing some what if scenarios, right? Did I do it on the? No, it was on the regular. What if this is what's going to play out? Okay, let's zoom into the structure. What if, right? If we still, and I'm speculating, if we still going to have a altcoin season, if dominance is going to start dropping, it's already losing trend, it's losing momentum, dominance here at the moment, okay? If we are still to go, or if we are still going to get an altcoin season here to the upside, right? Can you see where I'm building my position? It's a big zone, and for some people that is very scary, but you're building your spot position in the right area. Okay, maybe it's going to pump up here, it's going to grind against the trend, it's going to break out, go sideways, and then it just rock and rolls to the upside. Maybe we hit even $1.3. I don't know, right? But this bars pattern I took from this structure. This is where I took the bars pattern from. I also took a bars pattern from this structure. I also took a bars pattern from this structure. I was just playing around this morning. I'm just speculating, okay? And this is why I have built myself a little Doge spot position. And then I can go into all the technical scenarios in terms of why this zone looks incredibly bullish. And I have to give the structure the benefit of the doubt. I have to, from a technical perspective, because I don't want to buy over here. I don't want to buy over here because I know retail is going to buy here. I want to build here so that when we are here, I'm going to talk about, I think we need to start taking profits. I'm going to start taking profits, and unfortunately, this sounds very, very bad, but I need retail so that I can take profits. I'm taking profits into retail. There's no retail at the moment. There's no retail. So for me, this is the best place to build my position because there's no retail at the moment. Okay? Retail is going to be here, and I'm going to take profits into retail. And you are too. Because at the end of the day, we're trading against each other. And you are the people watching this live stream at the moment. You are the die-hard crypto fans. You are the people that are watching these live streams from myself, Andy, and Matt, okay, when it matters the most. Because I'm telling you guys now, we have almost 200 people watching the live stream. I can almost guarantee you that if this price action had to play out, and we start getting upwards momentum here, even during this cycle, I can guarantee you there's going to be 1,500, 2,000 people watching this live stream, and every single one of them, except you guys, are going to ask me for entries. Can I enter now? Where can I enter? Where can I enter? Where can I enter? And then I'm going to tell everyone, guys, remember a couple of months ago during March, April, for everyone that watched that live stream, I think we need to start taking profits here and profits here. Okay, this is where I'm planning to take profits. We're going to talk about taking profits where everyone else in the live stream is going to ask for entries. Is it too late to buy? I remember, you know, seeing those things when XRP did that massive momentum to the upside and it just exploded. I had so many people ask me, can I buy now? Can I buy now? It's like, no, you missed it. You missed the pump. You missed it. Why do you want to buy now? You're exposing yourself to too much risk. You were supposed to watch my live stream when no one wanted to watch my live stream. Okay, so for me, this is a great area to start building a spot position. No financial advice, of course, right? And if you would like to do it with the links down in the description, I would appreciate it, because it's also your ways to support the channel and to grow together. Okay, Dewald, most awesome legend on YouTube. Thank you so much. I was here. Yes, you were all here. Every single one of you watching this live stream right now, okay? You are where you are supposed to be. You are early. You are really early, okay? Can we make one more low on most of the altcoins? Yes, definitely a possibility. Are you buying in the right place? Yes, because we are still in massive fear at the moment. You want to buy fear and you want to sell the greed. There's no greed. I can tell you guys now, there's no greed at the moment. There's nada. There's no greed. Retail is not back. I've got 200 people watching this live stream. I can tell you guys now, and you will also see when there's 1,000, 2,000, even 3,000 people watching the live stream, then there's greed. Then there's greed. There's no greed at the moment. I can see it by the number of views I get on my YouTube channel. The same with Andy, the same with Matt. I see it across the board. You know, I saw Crypto Banter as well. They've got over 1 million subscribers. The views are so low at the moment. It's everywhere. The views are low. Retail is not here. Retail is too scared to buy at the moment. Okay, so which gives me the confidence to start buying. When no one is buying, that's typically where I like to buy. I like to buy when no one wants to buy. Right, cool. Can we make one more low? Of course. And then I'll buy a little bit more, because you're still buying in the right place. Okay, if you look at Bitcoin over here, let's go here onto the daily time frame. Ooh, internet is stuck. Okay, here we go. Right, legends, I know, okay, if you look at RSI, because I see a lot of people talk about this. It's actually on the weekly. Let's look at the weekly. Okay, a lot of people look at this. High. You have hidden bearish divergence on the weekly RSI, which for some reason, okay, is making people extremely fearful, which for some reason is the reason why everyone is calling for this to be the top, which is also the reason there's no retail in the market. Okay, but we are still forming a higher low over here. The bullish structure is still intact. There's no denying that the structure is still intact regardless of this. Okay, and the altcoins is absolutely just smashed to the downside, right? The altcoins is absolutely just bled. You all know it. If you have a nice, decent altcoin portfolio, there's a 90% chance that your altcoin portfolio is bleeding at the moment, right? But we're holding on. We're holding on because we know we're buying in the right place. Regardless of the bearish hidden divergence that I see over here, there is fear, lots of fear. The fear and greed index hit almost an all-time low when we were here. Okay? Usually when I see larger time frame bearish divergence, and I see that, and there's greed in the market, then I start taking profits. But the opposite is happening right now. We have hidden bearish divergence, but you also have the weekly RSI, the stochastic RSI at the bottom. So a lot of people talk about this, but they don't talk about the weekly RSI being at the bottom. They don't talk about the fear currently in the market, because when we were here, we also had hidden bearish divergence. Okay, we also had it, but there was no fear in the market. Even when we took the dump here to the downside, I remember it, and if you were here during the previous bull market, you will remember, even when we took this initial dump to the downside, people still believed that we were going to $100,000. No one was calling the top. No one was even talking about a bear market. When we were here, okay, people would, and also when we made this top, RSI, the stochastic RSI was at the top, where now it's at the bottom. Okay, and there was no fear over here. Right, and then the rest is history. Now that we are over here, for some reason, everyone is saying that we have started a bear market. It doesn't make sense. The psychology around it for me doesn't make sense. I still want to see a little bit more euphoria. Okay, because I haven't seen the euphoric phase, and I have spoken about this quite in depth yesterday. Right, cool. I like the views metric as a fear and greed indicator. Yes, probably more accurate. Definitely. You know, I usually just see my views on my YouTube channels, and I go and look at other people's views. Some people used to get, I can't remember the names, but some people used to get like 2,000, 3,000 live viewers inside of their live streams. They are down to like 800, 700, 600 viewers. That tells me that sentiment is down. There's no retail. People are fearful. Everyone has called the top, and they think they've called the top successfully. I'm not convinced yet. Okay, right, legends. Good times are about to come. Yes, I agree, Garisha. I agree. Good times are about to come, and I think, you know, once Bitcoin, maybe we should take a bars pattern. Okay, let's take a bars pattern here from Bitcoin. Sure. Let's go to the daily time frame. Let's just have some fun over here. Okay, let's have some fun. I want to take it from the previous bull cycle. Let's take this little euphoric, because we only started getting euphoric during this phase. So let's take a bars pattern. Where's my bars pattern thingy majiggy? It's this one. Okay, let's take it from here, or maybe from here. Let's take it from here to the top. Okay, let's go and say, well, what if? Okay, let's just drag it across. What if? Okay, and I'm just going to be extremely bullish over here, but what if this happens? Okay, but you guys get the picture. Okay, let's just put it there, right? What if this happens? Or maybe we go make one more low. Okay, maybe we go make one more low, but what if this happens? I can tell you now, okay, retail is going to be back over here. Definitely, retail is going to be back over here. Okay, they're going to look for entries. They're going to buy up altcoins. They're going to start building spot positions over here. Okay, and then they're going to be like, oh, retracement, buy the dip, buy the dip. Yay, they're winning, they're winning. We go back down, buy the dip, right? You know the saying, but you buy the dips but this is where the euphoria is going to start kicking in. This is where it doesn't matter how bad your entry is, you will still the rising tide will still raise all the ships, okay? Because this is what happened during the previous bull cycle, is that you have the shittest entry on one of your favorite altcoins, and maybe you're underwater for a couple of days or even a week, and then all of a sudden you're in profits and you think you're a good trader because the momentum just continues to the upside. Dominance collapses to the downside. Bitcoin is pumping to the upside. You just keep on buying the dips. Bitcoin is never going down. And then you make that triple top and you start correcting. And when we are here and people are starting to call for $1 million, the crazy numbers, we're going to $1 million, we're going to $1 million, okay? This is where we need to get out, because this is where the bear market is going to start. Right, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, right? By no stretch of the imagination. I'm just trying to paint the psychology idea in everyone's mind, is that I have not seen euphoria. Yeah, I haven't seen it. And some people will send me messages to say that, Dewald, but I have seen euphoria. Well, I can tell you also, during the previous bull cycle, okay, there was euphoria over there. There was euphoria over there. Little bits, pockets of euphoria, social media going crazy. But this is where I saw massive euphoria. This is where NFTs, stupid pixelated pictures of shit, sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. And then we went through this phase and everyone was like, what is going on? And then plan B came out. We're going to $100,000 and price started pumping again. Yay, we're going. But this move, yeah, it was very bullish for most of the altcoins. This is where altcoins went absolutely ballistic. Okay. NFTs, altcoins, I think, what was the theme for? It was Web3. I think it was Web3, no? During this theme over here. Web3 came out during this phase as well. And NFTs, this was an NFT bull market. Okay, right. And then, bam, smacked them all out. But this was euphoric. Real euphoria. If you were here during the previous bull market, you'll know exactly what I mean. I haven't seen that euphoria yet. And that's why I'm thinking we're still going to go up a little bit more than where we are right now. Okay, right. Do you see Doge going up again? Yes, from a spot perspective, yes. I have built quite an aggressive spot position. Okay, I have. No financial advice. You might laugh at me if we go down. I don't care. I trade the technicals in front of me. Okay, I look at various factors. I look at fear and greed. I see I look at RSIs on the larger time frames. I look at the Elliott wave structures, specifically on the logarithmic scale. Okay, so let me just hide this little thing, bars pattern over here. You know, these are some of the things that I look at, and I'm ignoring this structure because this structure actually makes it more bullish, David. This structure makes it more bullish, but I'm ignoring it because I want to be conservative. I want to take profits, okay, where I'm supposed to take profits, right? So this so far looks like a beautiful 1 2 1 2. It's the only bullish structure that makes sense at the moment. It cannot be a 1 2 3 4. It's a 1 2 1 2 as long as this low holds. And this low is still very far away. This is what I love about the structure. The low is still very far away. So I'm looking at how much breathing room the altcoin has. If Bitcoin still has to make one more low, so let's say Bitcoin goes up and it falls down, it makes one more low and then it goes back up. So I'm calculating of if this had to happen and Bitcoin goes to $68,000, $70,000, I can just imagine how much fear will then be in the market. The altcoin that I'm building my spot position for, does it have breathing room? So if Bitcoin, so let's say the altcoin does exactly the same. It makes one more low and it bounces on the trend. Okay, it has enough breathing room before it takes this low. Because this low, if it's taken, will invalidate the bullish structure. So these are some of the things that I look at, okay? And the fact that it's finding support so high up already is showing strength for me, okay? When I take a flip from the low to the high, you can see where Doge has bounced at the golden pocket. So even if Doge falls down bounces here on the trend, 786 is still a bullish target. I will buy more. That's my strategy. I can just imagine the fear. Everyone bought the breakout and then it collapses to the downside. Guess what? I will buy more. Okay. Considering what I'm seeing on Bitcoin, the RSIs, the fear and greed index, you know, there's various things that I take into consideration. Okay. The RSIs on the larger time, I don't trade RSIs, but I do use it from an investment perspective on the larger time frame, daily, weekly, monthly. Okay. So now, if I'm speculating on a double 1-2 structure, I have a clear invalidation. This is my invalidation, aka stop loss. And I know it's very far away, but this is the risk that I'm willing to take. Right, so in the most bullish case scenario is it needs to claim this high. Okay, so this is my second plan. There's a plan that I have to say that, well, what if it does this? I will buy more here. And then I have a second plan. And this is my reason for buying over here is because you could front run this level. Because everyone is still expecting one more low. Most of the altcoins, Link, ICP, Dogecoin, most of the altcoins that I'm looking at looks like it needs one more low. But I know you might not get that one more low, the perfect entry, where you just nail it and it goes up from there. And this is why I'm building here at the moment, because I am recognizing the bullish signs. We have bounced inside of the golden pocket. We have broken trend, okay? We are currently finding some upwards momentum. So if I cannot buy over here, which I'm not going to wait for, I'm going to start building my position. I want this high to be claimed. If Doge can continue here to the upside and it claims this high, it makes a higher high. Even if it rejects by the trend, I don't care. This retracement is going to be my next buying opportunity, because then you increase the probabilities that you're not going to get here. Okay, because you're breaking market structure. So I'm already building a position here. If I see the higher high, that retracement is going to look very, very juicy. Okay, very juicy. Right, so you know, it's about confirmation bias at the end of the day, because I know that there's a lot of technical traders that are waiting for that one more low. On the regular scale, and this is what's scaring a lot of people, on the regular scale, they take a fib from the low to the high, okay? And now this looks like it's almost going to claim the low. But I know from a lock perspective, it still has a lot of breathing room. Okay, I do love the lock scale on the daily and weekly time frame. That's where I make most of my investment decisions, not trading decisions, investment decisions. Right, if it makes one more low, I will simply buy it up, right, like a crazy person. But a lot of technical traders, they wait for confirmation. They don't care about, I can tell you now, that traders that trades with hundreds and millions and billions of dollars, you know, large institutions, professional traders that trade with big money, market makers, people that have enough cash to actually move the market, they are waiting for this high to be claimed. They want this high to be claimed first before they make any trading decision. They most probably long ago saw the breakout, okay? Maybe they're building a small little bag, who knows? But I can tell you now, they will only deploy large cash once this happens. They want to see market structure change, because at the moment, you have a high, you have a lower high, you have a lower high, and you still have a lower high. Lower low, lower low, lower low. Bigger traders, invest in institutional investors, they wait for this. They don't care to have a higher entry, but it's a more confirmed entry because you're changing market structure. That's what they wait for. Right, so and that will be where I'm also going to add. Okay, right. Cool. RSI and stochastic in W are reset on nearly all alts. Yes, I have seen it. I did see. So just for interest sakes, let's look at Doge on the weekly. Doge is at the bottom Or, you know, if you're an RSI trader, you know, it's at the bottom. I use it for investment. I use the weekly RSI from a spot perspective. This is where I build spot bags. If I see the grind on the weekly RSI at the bottom, the stochastic RSI, that's you, and I see how low that we have gone, and I see that we are still hitting bullish targets. Okay, we are in the golden pocket. Weekly RSI at the bottom. It's grinding. It's like plowing the land at the bottom. It wants to, you know, plant some corn or something here at the bottom, scraping the bottom. That's where I get interested from a spot perspective. Okay, investment perspective. And right, so let's check the daily. Daily is actually at the top. So maybe it could still come down, but I know the daily can also come down. You know, usually when it's the top, it can still punch. It can still punch when it's at the top. And then when it comes back for the retracement, RSI goes back down. Okay, and it doesn't even have to claim the low. Just this little consolidation over there can bring the daily RSI back to the bottom. Okay, and then it has another attempt back to the upside. So, I mean, it's a spot bag. I don't care about sniping the lows or the highs. From a spot perspective, I don't care, but I'm building my position in this zone, and I would even extend it to the 786. Right, no financial advice, of course. Okay, right, legends. I use it for spot buys too. Yes, Elizabeth, I think it's a great strategy or a great indicator as part of many other things to use. For me, I don't just look at RSI. I look at other factors as well. Where's the fear and greed at? Okay, where is Bitcoin at? What, you know, is it still creating higher highs and higher lows? What is because, you know, Bitcoin leads the way for everything else. Okay, so I look at many other things as well. I look at the RSI. I look at the fear and greed. I look at sentiment in the market. I look at YouTube counts. Okay, where's retail? Retail's not here. Okay, that's usually a good time to buy when there's no retail in the market. So a lot of things to consider, but I mean, based on everything that I've considered, I am building some bags. I'm building some bags. I think for me, it's the right time. Okay, I also see some green volume starting to kick in. Momentum is starting to shift. Even if we claim the low, I can tell you guys now, even if Doge claims the low, it's in the right zone for me to start building. No financial advice, and if you'd like to come build sandcastles with me, links are down in the description. All you need is an email and a password for Weeks, Bluffin, or Femex. Best deals, best offers on all three of those exchanges. And if you don't want to submit documentation, I mean, those are exchanges you need to have a look at. Right, legends, thank you so much for joining the live stream. Have yourselves an amazing day, afternoon, morning, from wherever you are, from around the world. And until the next one, cheers for now.